Hi, I'm Dan, and welcome back to the Rock Nerd Radio Show here on YouTube. Today is the final day of my Constructicon week. We've looked at all 6 individual Constructicons, which means there's only one thing left to do. Today, we are going to combine them all and take a look at these Transformers Studio Series 86 Devastator, and I might even pull in an older version of Devastator just for some comparisons.
Come geek out with us on the Rock Nerd Radio Show.
So like I said, we're going to be talking about all of the Constructicons today as we combine them into Devastator. But I did kind of want to start off a little bit by playing a game of which one is my favorite out of these. Now, like I've said in all of these reviews, I don't think these guys are perfect. I do think they all have some flaws. Do I think they're fun? Yes, but I don't think they're perfect. So in terms of which one I think is the best, I actually think I'm going to give it to Mixmaster. I think he was my favorite one to really mess around with and really play with. And, you know, a lot of it has to do with nostalgia. Like I said in his review, he was the first Constructicon and only Constructicon I ever had as a kid. So I definitely like Mixmaster quite a bit. But I think he honestly looks, in my opinion, the best out of the Constructicons. I think my biggest complaint is just how hard it is to really get at his head and move that around. So he'd be my number one. Number 2, I think I'm going to give it to Scrapper. I think he is my second favorite. The third one, I think I'm going to give to Hook. I did enjoy this Hook figure quite a bit. Followed by... You know what? I think I'm going to say Scavenger in 4th place. Now that everybody fell, they all just want to fall down. I'd say Bone Crusher, or Long Haul rather, would be 5th place. And Bone Crusher would be the 6th place one, if I were to rank them from 1 to 6. So yeah, that's what I think of them. But the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put each one of the Constructicons in the mode that is best for them to be in before turning them into the part for Devastator. And we're going to go through the transformation and how we put together each part. So let's get into it. So we are going to start things off with Long Haul, and I already took his weapon out of his hand. I'm just going to kind of set it off to the side here. Devastator will have some weapon storage. We'll talk about that as we go. But for Long Haul, basically what you want to do is kind of turn him back into his dump truck mode with a few little twists. So first, you are going to tuck in the hands, and then you're going to disconnect the arm from the shoulder part. And then what you want to do is spin the arm around like this. You can see there's a little tab here, and this will flip into the back of the shoulder, and then there's a little tab slot right here, and there is a tab on the arm, and you're just going to connect that in just like that. So that stays in pretty tight. Same thing on the other arm. You want to rotate, flip, snap together, and snap together. Boom, there we go. So first part, pretty much easy and done. You're going to want to open this up because you are going to tilt back. I'm sorry, you're also going to want to flip this piece just up and out of the way for now, the back piece. So then you're going to disengage the waist, tuck the head down, fold that back up. All right, from there, you're going to want to take the legs, and remember how I mentioned this transformation joint if you watched my video where I reviewed this. Pop the legs here, connect them up. All right, legs are going to go down on this joint and up on this joint. Okay, you're going to fold down the, the back of the dump truck like this. And then his heels, which I may have forgotten to mention in his video, they do connect. You can see there's like a little post here. It's going to fit right into that slot. So just put it in there, and this is the first part that we need all done. And everything in here feels pretty tightly connected. You know, it is pretty solid. So we'll move him, and we'll get into our next part. So next up is Hook, and I'm going to start him in his vehicle mode because that's the best mode to start him with. Now, with the actual Hook piece, I'm going to kind of raise it to get it out of the way, but the crane part I'm going to put back not all the way, just like this, so that it gets the Hook piece out of the way. So yeah, that's how I'm going to start that. I'm also going to just take the forearms and tuck them down while folding in the hands. So that's on both of them. Tuck the arms down, fold in the hands. From there, this piece, this whole piece right here, it does kind of just shift over. So you want to shift it over. This is the headpiece. I'm going to lift it out of the way. And then we have some double hinges here. So you're going to open this up like that. And then you're going to want to fold everything together like that. There we go. So it's all folded together. Now the head you're going to bring down right here on these pegs. It snaps down pretty well. And then the head itself, you're going to want to spin around. You can see his face is kind of smushed right now. So you open up the forehead, pull out the face, and then carefully tuck that back down. There is Devastator's head. You can put the crane piece back down too. This hand, this arm, gets folded up. This one just kind of stays here. There are a couple connection ports you're going to need. Excuse me. One is right there. One is over here. And one is hiding there. All right, so this is Hook, more or less done. Just make sure everything is fitting together. There we go. The head wasn't fully down, but there we go. Now everything is fitting together. And here is the top portion of Devastator. The next thing we want to work with is this piece that was like the extra dump truck part that came with long haul and hook. For this, first off, you have to just get rid of all this stuff along here. So there's one wing, there's a second wing. Of course, that is for the chest piece. We'll talk about that in a minute. These are wrist pieces that we are going to move off and just put on the side. And then, of course, the chest wing piece, the middle of the chest piece, is right here. You just untab it, move it off to the side. That leaves us with this chunk of plastic, and the way that this goes is actually quite simple. You just have to untab it all like this, so it has this nice outstretched piece. You're going to bring it up on this piece and fold it down onto itself like this. So we got this piece. You can always hide this connector piece if you need to. It really just is going to go to the side. So there we go. From here, there is a connector piece that you have to kind of snap together. There we go. And these are the hip skirts and the thighs. So you want to lift the hip skirt and bring the thigh down, then bring the hip skirt down. So same thing, lift the hip skirt, bring the thigh down, bring the hip skirt down. So that leaves us with part of Devastator's body. What I'm going to do is actually bring long haul back in. Long haul is going to take this piece right here by my thumb, and it's going to connect right onto here like this. You just have to line it all up and snap it down. There we go. And then what's going to happen in the back is on the back of long haul's legs, there are these little tabs, and there's just these square pegs or square holes here. You're just going to pop them in, and there we go. Now we have most of Devastator's body ready to go. Next, we just need to bring in Hook. So I'm going to get him. I'm just going to lean that over like that. With Hook, there's actually a lot of connection tabs here. So, you do have these tabs hanging out, but there's a peg here. There's some other pegs here on his feet. And if you look at the top of long haul, there's a number of pieces that have to really connect. So you do have to line everything up, but as long as you're getting this one and this one connected with this and this, you should be pretty good. So I'm going to get these two connected. Well, hang on. Just going to make sure we get everything all together. That should go there. That's going to go there. There we go. So you can kind of see how I'm getting the main ones together. And as long as I get that, then everything else will kind of land where it should. You give it a good squeeze just to get everything down together. But There we go. There we go. That is most of Devastator. I'm going to have to raise the camera quite a bit. But there is most of Devastator ready to go. We'll start raising the camera now. There we go. So there's most of his body ready to go. He's armless and legless. And we're going to talk about that. So let's see what we need, who we're going to connect next. So continuing along, we are going to start with, or move on to Scrapper. And I like to start him in his vehicle mode for this. The gun that he came with, the big Devastator gun, I just kind of have off to the side because we will be coming back to that. But of course, he does make a leg for Devastator. So what you're going to do first, there is this little green tab section here. It just kind of clips into place here, and that's fine. And then this piece, the front of the vehicle, you're just going to kind of put like this. The arms, you are going to untab, bring around, and then tab back into place. And then the arms turn and flip back. Now, the instructions do say that you can put the hands out for extra support. It gives you a little bit more, but I personally like the closed, hand look there. So there we go. And same thing on the other side. We're going to unclip the arm, rotate it down, clip it back into place, rotate it, and then flip the arm back. We are almost done. We're just going to tilt the legs back, turn this piece, and then separate the legs like this so that, they are separate. The reason why we do that is I'm going to bring in the rest of Devastator that I have. This is how we're going to connect him in. So on the leg, this piece, where my finger is just going to connect in just like this. We got to move it all the way over. You're going to hear a little pop. That's fine. And then you just snap everything back into place. Straighten the vehicle mode back out. Like, oop, hang on. It's a little difficult to do with all this extra weight hanging off of it, but you're going to want to pop that vehicle mode back in. There we go, like that. And then you do have a little bit of what will eventually be ankle tilt. So, yeah, here is Devastator standing. And, man, I really have to move my camera back. But, yep, Scrapper is there as his foot. Let's move on to Mixmaster. So we're going to keep on rolling by looking at Mixmaster, and I like the way that this goes because it is just so simple. So with him, the front part of his truck, you're just going to disconnect this piece, and it goes up and over, and then just connects, just like that. All right, and we're almost done. The only other things you have to do is these pieces that were his heels before. You fold them down. Fold these pieces in, and then this little tab right here is going to sit right against the back of this foot piece, and that keeps it locked in place. So we're good there. And that's it. That is what the leg mode is going to look like. But in order to connect him to Devastator, we do have to open up this piece, bringing in Devastator. We have him here, and this is just going to slide in just like that, as you can see. Close that up, connect it. You can, I also forgot, I do have to bend Mixmaster's arms out just a little bit, just like that. And then you can bring him in, bring him, rotate however you want. But now we do have a fully standing Devastator, which I am very excited about. I'm going to raise the camera up a little bit more just so you can see the rest of him. There we go, and you can really see how tall he is as I am really raising this up from my display area here. Let me kind of bring my camera up a little bit too, and I can bring this back down. So sorry for the change of camera angles here, but yeah, so here we go. We're almost ready to roll with Devastator. He is standing now. We will get the arms going, so we are going to start with Bone Crusher. And Bone Crusher is going to be in his vehicle mode, and I know I was a little hard on this guy. I'm still going to be. Not really, because now we're in arm mode. This is the mode that he's probably going to stay in for the rest of his life on my shelf. Now, I am disconnecting the legs from the bottom, and that is just to extend what will be the elbow of Devastator. Now, a cool detail that I did not notice until I went to combine him is this piece right here on his leg. This actually folds down, and that is there so that this whole foot piece can fold in. You're going to retab the treads here, and then this will fold or connect right here to keep that in, to keep that piece together. And like, here is the arm, more or less. And a couple other things to add. First off, there is some nice detail here. So make sure you have this piece facing you when you're building it. And just to get the rest of the arm in here, you're going to take this piece that came with the long haul hook 2-pack. You are going to rotate it out like this. And just make sure this peg goes down. And you're going to want to rotate the hand a little bit. But this piece will connect into this piece. Oop, this might be the right... No, this is the right hand. Never mind. Anyway, so it is going to connect just like this. You just have to make sure you're lining up the holes correctly. There you go. Just have to make sure you line up the holes correctly. And yeah, here is Devastator's arm. And in order to connect this, you're going to want to take this piece right here on Bone Crusher. And it does connect onto Devastator's arm just like this. You want to make sure it does go down all the way. So there we go. You got to wait for that click and for it to go all the way down. So one arm of Devastator down, one arm left to go. So, bringing in Scavenger, we have him in his vehicle mode. Like I said, I was putting these in the mode that was easiest for them to become the limb of Devastator. Definitely the mode for this one. You're going to fold the, this part in, so he looks very compact. You are going to undo his legs, much like we did with Bone Crusher. And then we're going to take the entire middle assembly and flip it out just like this. This piece is going to sit there. Now, we're going to keep the legs open for a moment because I want to work with the rest of the arm. So I'm going to turn this a little bit, just like I did with the other one, with the other arm. I'm going to take this piece from the long haul extra kibble. There we go. And this is going to go onto the arm, just like the other one did. Like this. This one a lot easier to get on because this extra little purple piece kind of helps guide you where you need to go. So there we go. Now, there is a little bit more to do with this leg. I just want to bring out, just like the other arm, for coming out of these legs, there is a connection here, and I am going to bring the foot out. But in terms of getting him onto Devastator, we have the peg there. We are going to sink him on down, just like we did with Bone Crusher. Nice, secure click. But in the back here, there is a peg that is going to secure the legs to Devastator's body. So you just have to kind of find that and line it up like I am trying to do now. There we go. Looks, it's more or less there. And then I am going to reconnect the legs, and just like with Bone Crusher, just got to make sure that those leg pieces are connected underneath his arm, this piece right here. So I would say there you go, there's Devastator, but we are definitely not done yet because there are a couple things to add. We do need to add his chest plate, of course, and the way that this goes, it just connects on in. There we go. You connect the wings to the centerpiece. Just like that. Looks pretty cool. And then you're really connecting to this piece here via this piece here, I want to say. So, just getting that on, I'm just going to turn him so I can do this sideways. You just connect like that. It should just go in. You also do have a few other connector pieces that I'm going to kind of guide myself a little bit with. There we go. Trick is getting everything to stay together while you are doing it. Okay, there was a little piece that I was missing, but everything is now in there. There's a side connector in the from the middle of the chest piece that also has to connect to his abdomen. So there's that. Then, of course, we have Devastator's gun, and it can go in either hand. I'm just going to put it in this hand, although it seems a little loose in this hand. So let me try that on the other hand. Hopefully it's not loose in both hands. Honestly, this feels very loose in his hand, and that is a bit of a bummer because it is definitely just easy to move. That's man, that really sucks. So unfortunately on my copy, this gun just does seem to be a loose peg. I know there are ways I can thicken that peg and get it to go, but I mean, the fact of the matter is he's probably just going to be kind of holding it at his side in my display, so as long as it's not falling out of his hand, I'm okay. Now, just to show you, he does have weapon storage for all his other weapons, for all the weapons that all the other Constructicons came with. So here is Scavenger's gun, and you can just leave it where it would have gone in his alt mode. So I'm going to put it there. In terms of Bone Crusher's gun, same thing. Just going to put it where it was in alt mode. Okay. I'm going to take Mixmaster and Scrapper's gun, and they are just going to sit on his back. There are two holes on this back piece that you can easily just stick these guns on, like so. In terms of Hook's weapon, just go right on the crane like it was initially. You know what? It was right here. I forgot. It was a little peg. It just pegs right on to that part of the crane. That does leave Longhaul's gun, and it actually, somewhat surprisingly, can go on the foot for Mixmaster. Mixmaster has a little toe, a little hole here on his toe, and you can connect this piece to act as more of a toe piece for him. You just got to get it in there, which is hard to do when you're holding this at one hand and in the air. So I'm just going to put him down for a second. I'm going to put this piece on, and once it is there, I will show it off. There we go. So it's going to look like that, and it's honestly a really tight fit. As you could tell, I was having some trouble getting it in there. So once it's in there, it's probably going to stay in there. In terms of Devastator, let's talk about his articulation, because this is a very movable combiner. So he can look left and right, no real up or down on there. His arms, we'll start with the left arm, is able to go all the way around and out. And then at the elbow, we do have bend, and we have rotation. Hands can rotate, and the hands can open and close as well. So that is really cool. I like the way that that looks. Same with the other arm. We're going to take the gun out for a moment. Can rotate all the way around. We're going to go out with it and back down. Rotation at the elbow. Bend at the elbow. Rotation at the hand that can open and close. So there we go. Everything you would hope him to have. I was messing around with this when I was putting them together. Did not expect him to have waist articulation. Now, some of the backpack here does get in the way, but he does have waist articulation. So that's pretty phenomenal. I really didn't expect that. His legs, looking at them, these are some clickety-clackety legs. Both of them can go forward that far and back right up until they hit the backpack, but also out. He can do quite a big split, which is fantastic. And of course, you're going to want to put the skirt piece down. Thighs will rotate all the way around. Knee bend underneath the thighs, so where both legs connect, there are knees. Yeah, it's a little high, but it is there. And they each have what is essentially ankle pivot because of where these robots go. You have some nice ankle pivot. So he is a very posable, very movable combiner, and nothing on him really feels like it's going to fall off or break. He feels exceptionally solid. which is really the first time a Devastator that I've gotten to mess with feels this solid. I've had a few in my day, and none of them have felt this good. My only really complaint here is that the gun is just so loose. And like I said, I can tighten that up a little bit, but that's the only bummer that I have. Looking at the detail, though, this really does look like Devastator. Going to bring him in right up to the camera again. I love the head. I've always preferred the red visor over the two eyes. I know he sported both in the animation. Always liked the red eyes, though, and you can see like the rivets on the head. It just looks so cool. Nice purple collar piece there, neck piece. And, you know, bringing him out a little bit, he has that Devastator shape with all the Constructicon pieces on him. I will say, I feel like the chest piece is a little too low. I feel like it's supposed to be higher. It's not going to make or break the figure for me, but I feel like this piece should actually be like right, like just like a hair higher, kind of like where my finger is right now. So if where my finger is touching it, if it was up towards the top of my finger, I feel like that would have been perfect. But otherwise, like he looks really solid from the front. You know, lifting him up so you can see it, like that. You know, we have the right shapes. Everything looks really good. I think my biggest complaint, for the figure, is just that he really does have a large backpack. Now, am I going to be displaying the figure from the back? No, I'm not. And I know there are some mods where people have taken out the pins, which kind of help reduce this backpack. I'm not going to be doing it because I honestly think it looks fine. So yeah, I'm okay with this because, like I said, I'm not displaying him from the back. He's going to be standing towards the back of my Season 1 Decepticon shelf. And yeah, you'll really just see him from the top up. But speaking of Decepticons, I should probably bring in a Decepticon so you can see what he looks like next to him. So here is the Studio Series Megatron. I do have to lower the camera for this. But yeah, you can see Megatron barely makes it up to his waist, which I feel like is a really, really good look. Something a little smaller. Here is the Earthrise Optimus, who is also not nearly as big, doesn't even make it up to his waist piece. And if we want to have one final comparison, I can take Prime out, and I'm going to take Megatron out. May have to clear off a little bit more room for this one, but here is our Studio Series Devastator with, raise the camera preemptively, my Combiner Wars Devastator. And I haven't brought this out during these reviews just because I didn't really want to have to take this guy apart all over again. But you can definitely see he is significantly shorter than the Combiner Wars version. Combiner Wars even having trouble fitting in my camera frame. There we go. You can see the new one only comes up to about his midsection. The Combiner Wars version has a lot going on, though, and this is something I do want to talk a little bit about. The Combiner Wars version has a lot of extra detail, namely in the chest piece. We have these silver squares, these red and silver pieces that the Studio Series 1 does not have. There's a little more deco on some of the Constructicons, and like the crotch piece has a lot more deco compared to Devastator. Now, I think it benefits from the fact that the Combiner Wars one wasn't really trying to hit animation accuracy. They were just going for a new Combiner Devastator. Whereas our new one really is trying to hit on that animation accuracy. Hence, why we might be having less details, because they really want to bring it, closer to that animation, which wasn't going to have all that stuff. The Combiner Wars one has been on my shelf since I've bought it. The only downside is where I have like my actual Transformers display, it's all in cubes. He's too big to fit in any cube, so he's never really been standing with his fellow Decepticons. He's always kind of been on the top shelf where there's the most room with just other Titan-sized figures. I don't think that he's a bad figure by any stretch of the imagination, but I think for where my collection is right now, the Studio Series one is the one that I'm going to keep there. I think that is the one that it is going to fit better with my collection at the moment. So there we go. I'm not going to have him spin around or do anything all that fancy, but this really is a great Devastator figure. Just the combined mode itself is really, really awesome, and I wasn't expecting it to be this solid and feel this good in hand, so I'm very excited for it. Hey, I want to thank you for sticking with me for these 6 videos where I put together all these, looked at all these Constructicons and put together Devastator. It does mean a lot, especially if you've watched all of them. So really, thank you for doing that. And thank you for checking out the channel. Remember, you can always catch the Rock Nerd Radio Show podcast on your preferred podcast platform. It is a weekly podcast hosted by myself and my good friend Vinny, where we discuss all different aspects of pop culture. There's bound to be something on there that you're going to enjoy. So until next time, thank you for tuning in on this one, and I really do appreciate it. That's been Devastator. You've all been pretty awesome. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.